All right.
Good.
Let's try.
I did. I meet last night and
You had a meet?
yeah.
How'd they do?
They did pretty well. The guys are dominant.
Oh,
But they lost yesterday. For being with us, Mr. Day, thank you. And
I keep second.
right, of course, yeah, thank you. Welcome. And let's start with public comments. Public comments may include suggestions and objective criticisms of operations or programs, but the board will not hear complaints concerning individual personnel. The board will hear comments, but will not engage in discourse with public at this meeting.
I didn't receive any emails from people expressing online interest in
I
public comments.
didn't get any either. So, okay, all right. Moving right along, Patrick. We got minutes to approve. March.
So I did send out March minutes earlier. Not sure if you guys had the chance to go and read them or not.
I don't know.
I'm reading them.
Efficient. They look good.
I think
Yeah.
they look
They were fun.
They were
Fine.
representative.
Thank you. I feel like you represented my feelings well. So thank you.
Representative democracy. Let's do that.
Yeah. I vote to approve.
I second.
You moved. Okay.
I moved. Yes. I moved.
Move to approve.
Second.
5.
555. We hear you, Jamie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I even forgot to project.
Can I ask really fast, since there were no public comments? No budget talk today?
Yes.
I'll
we-
talk about that.
Do you want to talk about the treasurer update? Okay.
Okay.
It's not bad news. It's just, it's postponed news.
You want to start with the executive?
Yeah, I do. It's short and sweet.
It is.
March was a short month, and typically we don't try to schedule too much in there because everybody's kind of exhausted and looking forward to that break. So we don't see a lot of movement in our metrics, and not a ton went on, but the things that went on were really fun. And it's actually nice that Catherine's here because she sponsored some of the stuff that happened in March. It was amazing. Let's see, did we have, it's interesting that the tardies are going up, even though it was like a 3-week month, but we did see some of the absences go down.
Can I ask how those are measured? Because obviously it's not, if it went down, obviously it's not just a number of absences.
It is.
Unless you got magic.
Oh, no, the amount of sick that happened in February was significant.
Okay.
And so February was an oddball. We might see some higher numbers this month too, because we got a few things burning through. But
Is that just like the number of absences that were in March? Okay, just the singular month. Okay.
yep, and if you want me to do it a different way, I'm totally whatever you guys want, but it seemed like month to month was a good snapshot.
As long as it's consistent and I know how it's measured, like that's
And just to like a little more specificity, so we do attendance twice a day, so there's AM and PM. And so if you If you come in or your child comes in after 8:35, that's considered a tardy. And it's marked as a tardy if they are gone the first half of the day, like up until noon, I think it is, then that's an AM absence, a 0.5 absence. And if they are absent of the afternoon, that's 0.5 absence. We don't count the last like hour of the day, whatever. I think it's like hour and a half. And then each of the, the 0.5 is all total. We don't count a 0.5 as a day. We count it as a 0.5. So. So the Read Across America Spirit Week, and I meant to add the guest author in there too, happened right at the beginning of March. We did complete our hearing and dental screenings, and you guys approved the first draft of the budget. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Kindergarten had an open house in preparation for the lottery draw that happened on the 31st.
Did a lot of people attend?
I think there were about, she said like a dozen or so, and we scheduled it. I think we meant to schedule it on a different day than the district was having their kindergarten roundup, but it ended up being the same day. So we heard from a lot of families that it wasn't a good time, or they were trying to check out other things and could they do it later. And in fact, Dana just did a whole tour yesterday as a follow-up for families who couldn't make it to that. But I think she had like 20 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she was like,
Awesome.
let's get through this place. And they all
She
had a
was
lot
cranking
of,
them out, processing them.
she was getting a lot of, and Mika too, she was there as well, for the ones, the families that were kinder, though Dana's tour was for anybody. And they're getting a lot of positive feedback, so
Do we have
people are getting excited.
kindergartners that have a sibling coming in?
A lot. Like half the class, which is great. Yeah. I thought he was asking a question and wandering away. And so the lottery went great. We had enough kids to fill the rooms plus some spares. Right now the biggest waiting list is kinder, and there are 33 on the waiting list.
33.
On the waiting list?
On the waiting list.
Awesome.
Sounds
Get
about
those
right.
commitment letters out.
I know. So that's fantastic. And then a lot of the kinder SIBs, the like existing SIBs are already committed, and then we had a lot of siblings that were like drawn in both grades, and so we have like families that are joining us, which is great too. Right now I said we've got a full house, and we know from past that it's not always people sign up for the lottery and they don't always sign up or show up to register. So I am feeling like conservatively 120, 125 is probably realistic, but we'll just see. And we've got room for 130, and we'll see what the number is on October 1st or whatever we decided to use as our mark. Some of the staff are doing peer observations, just kind of watching their colleagues teach and kind of how they are organized and how their classrooms are organized. Some of them are also observing in Corvallis School District and elsewhere. We've gotten invitations to a couple of elementary schools in Corvallis just to continue to be better at our craft. And it's really, I always found that really enjoyable, and the feedback from staff so far is that they've enjoyed it as well.
So is everybody taking part?
Not yet. Right now we have 3 who've done it, and then no, 2 who've done it, 3 who are scheduled, and then I opened up the invitations since the first one's not really well. It's a little tricky to like get them to leave the classroom this time of year, but we'll see. I'll keep working on them.
Is this something that always happens in the spring, or is it a new thing?
Yeah. Cool. I mean, it happens regularly in other districts. It's very normal to go and see peers, and particularly if they are known for doing something particularly well, or if they've adopted a curriculum that you haven't adopted yet, and you're trying to see. Because sometimes it can feel like overwhelming. I can't possibly do all these 10 programs you're asking me to do, and so they'll say, "Here's this core team who has adopted it and it's functioning. Why don't you go watch them so you can get inspiration?" And yeah, and I think it's a great practice.
It is a very good call.
And is there a time that you go in and observe too?
I have started doing that. It's been impossible this year to get out of my office and out of some of the other emergency situations, but now that budget is kind of settled, I do have time to do it. Right. It's my goal is to do at least 3 observations every year of every teacher, and right now I am way behind. Tom assures me that no ED in the history of Muddy Creek has ever done observations, so I don't feel that bad. So this month, we're looking at some good budget news. We are probably getting a lot more money from the early literacy grant. And as our enrollment increases, we're looking at more money there too. So we're talking about how to best utilize those funds. MOUs have started being sent out.
Can you just,
Yeah.
for my benefit, because I don't really know, tell me a little bit about that early literacy grant?
Yes. So a couple of years ago, we were in the same position we are now, where it's a biennium, and the second year of the biennium, there's never enough money for schools, and so then everybody went to the legislature and said, or the governor, and said, we can't operate school with this little money. Can you please give us some more budget? And the normal funding model is that the student comes with a bucket of money, right? There's a dollar figure associated with each student. And that's what they were asking for, to increase ADMW. But what we got was a little bit of that and this new program called the Early Literacy Grant. And it's because the state wanted to collect some data and they wanted to specify what the money was for.
Right.
And
Who's the scored?
Which we're doing not well. So,
Because we're still at the bottom.
like, yeah, you can have more money, but it's got to be related to literacy.
and
Got it. So we want you to spend it on this.
And so one of the things that they did in the first year of that was they were like, it's cool, there's no penalties here. We just want to know what every single person is doing in every aspect of their literacy program. Like, did you utilize the Oregon Department of Education guidance on curriculum? Are you using one of those? Are you using your own stuff? Are you doing small groups? Are you doing interventions? How many minutes, hours, whatever. Very specific data collection. And then since then, they have taken all of the districts, every district's information. I think pretty much everybody could get the money. You just had to provide the data. And that was like $40,000 for us the first year, and then like $55,000 this year. And then there's all the reporting that goes with it that says, and now how are you doing? What are you doing now? You said you were going to use the money to buy the curriculum. Did you do it? How's that coming along? And quarterly, we report out on that. And so this biennium, of course, the schools went to do the same thing. It's a very regular pattern, and they're like, we still don't have enough money. Again, it's every 2 years. And they did not really significantly increase ADMW, and it's not projected to be a significant increase, but they over doubled the early literacy grant.
Awesome.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's just a little, we have to be a little creative.
Right.
Because
you can only use it for certain
we can
activities,
only use it for that. So that's been the last
But
couple
the
of
nice
weeks.
thing, you can take money from this pot and move over here.
Right.
Because if it hadn't, you free up that.
You're going to spend some money on literacy anyway.
Yeah,
Right,
so that's
right,
the exercise is the offset. So if we were already going to spend $10,000 on curriculum from our general fund column, then we can move that expense to the early literacy grant column, and then we have magically $10,000 freed up in the general fund. So it's shifting, but then it's also so much more than we were expecting.
Like, where do we put
But and so we're looking at training opportunities for primary teachers, and it's also, by the way, like limited to K-3 unless you make explicit strong arguments for 4 and 5. Like if you were super low across all grades,
right,
which we're not, thankfully. But so like for primary grades, they're interested in like in-depth training, science of reading training, or in Gillingham kind of dyslexia support training. And those are very expensive, and so that would be a great use for that money.
Awesome.
Anyway, we've got some ideas, and we'll present them as we solidify them. But I'm meeting with leadership on Friday to talk through what I think are good ideas, and then they'll tell me where I'm wrong, and we'll get it all settled.
Thank you.
Of course.
Is it a 2-year since the legislature meets every, they have that short session, but so the pot of money you get now, is it for this year and next, the coming 2 years?
It is a slightly different figure each year. So the 129,000 is for next school year. And then there's another 100 and whatever it is, 32,000 the year after that. The kids are going to be reading in Oregon. They better be reading. But
That's a
that's
lot of money.
a lot of money.
Just think what their district is getting. That's a lot.
And speaking of the district, I want to shout out to the district because the first time I did this application, I did it as a standalone charter school, and it came with a bunch of reporting burden that was like, and I think there were very explicit timing. And so when I was checking with ODE on this new application, they said, well, why aren't you applying with your sponsoring district? I'm like, is that a thing I can do? Like, is that an option? And called district and said, what do you think about doing this together? You get to do all the reporting burden and all the heavy lifting paperwork, and
Just
they
send a check over.
just send a check over, and that's kind of how it worked. So Melissa Harder was really open to the idea, and she just told me she worked over spring break just doing all of it for both of us. And obviously her lift is a little heavier than ours. And then we'll still do the reporting piece and the spending piece.
They're not snagging 12.5%, right?
No,
Processing fee.
that's
Yeah.
not on this one.
And so you meet with leadership, but does everybody like K-1, 2 especially get say in how that money gets spent? Like is there
It's funneled through the leadership. So we have the head teachers, and so anybody would talk to Mika or Tom and have their feedback channel that way. Unless they just felt like telling me something about it, they can always do that. But
They're
that's the
always
process.
begging for more training. So that's
We've had mid-year like evaluation meetings too, and so a lot of that information came to me that way.
My ear to the ground was that they kind of wanted to get more money to folks like charter schools. Since they put it through the ADMW, then the percentages did go to the district, but this actually got it to them more anyway. So
Okay.
good.
actually a bill on that.
That's true, because if it was ADFW, then the 12.5% would be.
Yeah. So this kind of goes directly to everybody you wanted to.
It is a lot more paperwork.
Comes with some strings.
It
Yeah.
really actually does. And then it's like, we would really like some support for math also.
Mhm.
So there's not a grant for that. And so that, it's a great idea. And it would be great if it was balanced
Well,
with
flexible.
increased funding for other things as well. Conferences are right around the corner. I think you probably all heard that we had a little error on our calendar, and so that we changed. It said on the calendar we're going to have this Monday and Tuesday off for conferences and working on the 17th and 18th, which didn't match the districts. So when we figured that out, we flipped it around and communicated with families. So anybody's out there listening, just remember conferences are Thursday and Friday next week, not Monday and Tuesday. School as usual, Monday and Tuesday. And then our spring showcase is coming up. This is Evangeline and Karen the Great, the art teacher Karen, are working really hard to make that a special and beautiful event where our family and the PTO as well. They're working on concessions and getting organized. Can't wait. And then the plant sale, which is currently causing all of us a great deal of stress because we all kind of forgot to plant the plants before spring break, and then it snuck up on us. So that's why we're all planting plants tonight, because it's in like 3 weeks. And so we're, of course, still buying plant stock from Peoria and doing the baskets as well. And I threw a few extra veggies in there too, just because we're so kind of behind. But if you guys, like I said, if anybody has anything in their backyard, looking at you, Lester Oler, I know you've got
I
a
got a couple
1,000
of
plants
things.
back there. If you've planted too many tomatoes or whatever, drop them on by. We'll do a swap meet.
We got some stuff.
Oh, good.
How's the dandelion market these days?
Man, right? That's my backyard too. Okay, and then lots of things on the horizon. we're entering testing season pretty soon here. So that's SBAC, STAR, and Amplify coming right up, along with, there are a couple like, I was surprised by one last year that was a district requirement. It's like a portfolio building for the 5th grade. I think it's 3, 4, and 5 grades. They have to like do certain assessments and then provide a portfolio to the district. And I think we remembered it about 2 days before it was due last year. So we're gonna try and get a jump on that.
Here, back to portfolios.
Yeah.
We did those 20 years ago.
I have to say, I should ask at my next check-in
I mean,
with
it's
district,
had
but
to be
I don't really understand the value
And
of
it
it. But
just goes to the district?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
yeah, maybe it makes more sense to them. I should ask. Egg drop is coming right up too, and we're going to get communication out to families about that soon. Again, it's a little bit different model than the years past. We will still have the lift, and I think I can remember which grade is going to be doing the dropping from the lift, but we also have a trebuchet, and that's a 5th grade situation. We've got, so every grade level is going to have a different activity. It sounds awesome. We have a parent who's donating all the eggs, and the farmers among us will love this one. Because you know how when chickens sometimes lay in weird places and you don't know how long the eggs have been there. And so you're like, I'm not going to eat those eggs. So they've been collecting them this month.
Ooh, could have some
And
surprises.
I'm like, make sure you get the really stinky ones with the trebuchet so we can eat them over the, like into the Muddy Creek. But they assure me they won't be rotten. They're just too weird to
fly
eat.
too.
Yeah. Look at it. Are you planning to get in the bucket? That's going to be interesting.
Oh, you're putting them in there.
At least you're doing it. It's okay. You can do it how you want to do it. I'm not going to tell you the journey.
Now I see what these are for. All right.
All right, and then these are for just student work from the newsletter.
These are very nice.
We're seeing some fun and creative projects. I'm really interested in what 4th grade's doing. She's been doing with her class. You know how the runoff is a little bit weird and it makes like erosion on the playground and it makes the Muddy Creek and it gets like to use the brooms to kind of groom it. And so her kids have been going out. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it through the grapevine. And they're like trying to create like a deeper structure, like a more permanent Muddy Creek. And so they're out there with shovels and things. I need to get to the bottom. I told her to talk to the, she wanted to do more, and I told her to talk to the recess crew, but I need to check out and see what they decided. I think it sounds fun. And then the last thing in my update is we talked about, I know you guys can probably see this on the paper better than the screen, but we talked about asking the staff what their priorities are. So when we were looking at like scenario 2 for the budget, and we said, okay, this is what we can do, and it's kind of like this year, and then if we get more kiddos enrolled, then we'd add these things back, right? And so these were the things that we could add back, and this is what the staff said were their priorities. The first one here is cost of living, and you can see that was kind of a landslide. The second priority is red, and it's a little more smattered, but it is library from quarter to half time. And then number 3 is the yellow, and you can see that was pretty obviously wanting facilities repairs. And then 4 and 5 are kind of they're like green and purple, and it's sort of a tie between those two, between putting things in the bank and replacing some technology. And then project-based specialist comes in 6th.
Was behavior support kind of
Not in there.
not in there? Where do you feel like that would rank in there if it was in there?
Well, I queried them earlier in the year and kind of with more general brushstrokes, and behavior was in that, and that was a high priority.
Yeah, I thought it was.
And it was specific, like don't take it away. It wasn't as clear, like, get more, but it was, because I think I asked both questions, like, do you want to see less behavior support or do you want to see more? And it was a dramatic, don't take it away, but it wasn't as dramatic I would like to have more behavior support.
Is this from the newest?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Was there more questions about behavior support in the newest questionnaire?
No.
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 Oh, okay.
The other questionnaire is about what's like working here. It's the one that you saw from the sign.
What
So
was it?
this is from that questionnaire. Okay. But no questions about, there were no questions about behavior support in that.
No.
Okay.
More general work. That's
I know comments about, like, if there was some places where people could write.
yeah. I'm not prepared to share those results with you right now, but
Yeah.
there were some comments for sure. Anything else from update? That's it. Short and sweet.
Nice job.
Jill's here.
So, when we approved the budget last time, we knew there's probably going to be some changes. There were a few things that I had noticed that Tanya had missed putting in, and I brought those up last time, but it was like the new thing that's paid leave for each category. She explained something about the supply. Because what I do is look at the remaining and see if we're going to, if we're not in the hole, see if we think we're going to make it whole this month, May and June, and then she has to pay payroll in July, and that's the one that always kills us, is making that July payroll. So looking at these numbers, I'm not going to try to predict, but there's going to be some issues making that last payroll. Plus the dental insurance where we're over, and a couple other things. So Tanya and Sarah and I went over the one we approved. And as we are going through, they made these changes that I had brought up. And they had a few that they needed. So we knew that the teachers, the number one priority is to get that COLA raise. I strongly believe that we can't add it right now. There's two things. One, we don't know our numbers for sure. And the second one, we really don't know for sure what ABMW is. So Tanya really believes that she doesn't know, she's not saying there's going to be a lot more money, but she says we'll have more information in late May. And it's okay not to pass this until June. We just have to have a budget that's zeroed out, that doesn't have any overspending to the district in June. And so she felt it was better not to take a vote, because we may have to vote again. And
ODE was also discouraging us from making any changes because of the ELG, the early literacy grant, because that isn't finalized either. And it'll be finalized at the same time ADMW is, which is also end of May. So they think.
So those two things, and we still won't really know numbers until the doors open. And so you're just playing a crapshoot with that. And of course, every kid is over $9,000. So you can really dig yourself in a hole quickly if the numbers don't come in. So this is that number 2 level that we voted on with some of the updates, but it was Tanya saying, don't approve it again tonight.
Don't get the cart before the horse, basically, is the message. We'll get there, but we want to wait until legislatures have a chance to vote and actually.
When Tanya sends it out, if you look at the one that's budget versus actual, that's of all the reports she sends, that's probably the best just to skim over if you're interested, because you can really tell where, okay, well, on this one, I think we should add more for electricity because we're well electricity and we still have 3 months. Yeah, so yeah, those kinds of things are so hard to predict. And I swear, consumer made a my bill last month was $499. I've never had a bill that high.
Talking with a woman in New York, yeah, then one single old lady was $1,200. She's ready to move out here for the $500. Anyway, so let's say we're heading in the direction we're heading, and we end up with 130 kids. The legislature comes through. We got a big fat for literacy. We're ready to. When would that be? Let's say they did finish with the base. If we
I
wanted
think our
to,
first thing would add the COLA. And that's just from the data.
yeah, seems like it.
And it's the first time in several years that we haven't.
So we want to add a COLA when we know we can. Hypothetically,
Yeah,
when could the teachers kind of know
It may not even be until October,
Okay.
until we know the counts. Because you can act, you can change your budget and say, yeah, but remember, we're going through our savings pretty rapidly. And I know it's hard on teachers, but and the district's going to have issues because they have a new contract, but they're going to have to lay people out.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And that's the problem with giving them more money or laying more off, so some are going to go without a job, but you get 3% more. It's just a very difficult thing. The whole country's like this, I think, right now.
Certainly most of Oregon is.
Well, we can all, I've spoken with Sarah Gelsler Brown's people, and we can all call very nicely. We can also call other representatives very nicely and talk to them about our needs. Yeah.
So not so nicely.
Yeah, and some not so nicely, but that doesn't work well usually, right? Yeah, I think if we all start calling multiple representatives, it can't go, we're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot by just trying and talking and making different pleas.
And
We should all be calling our representatives all the time anyway, right, guys?
I mean, the state has to have a balanced budget also. So they have to see.
So
But I have a question too. So is it legitimate when you're communicating with your staff to say, we're hoping to do this? We can't promise, but like just the things that you just shared are public. You can make that known so that folks can at least be aware that you're working towards it if possible.
Definitely.
And obviously we have repairs. That might be number 2 thing, depending on the money. So you just don't know. It's difficult.
But they're going to want to, like, some people are saying in this table by June, some people are saying by October, like when you're going to have to let them know if
We'll know the
Line in
legislature
the sand.
money before then. We won't know the students till then, but I mean, there's ways we can continue to recruit, and if we got a long waiting list right up through the doors open, I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Well, and I've had conversations with Julie on the PTO front about different ways we can go ahead and like the PTO can help engage families like over the summer. Because I think if we can go ahead and start building that community feel prior to, then that will go ahead and help encourage folks to go ahead and show up. And if there's certain people who aren't engaging, then maybe those names can be passed on to Sarah, who can go ahead and gently nudge and say, hey, haven't heard from you. Here's this commitment letter.
I wish you haven't been to anybody big bowling nights.
Yeah.
All summer.
So,
Don't you like bowling?
but yeah, I mean, the head count is going to be
And I
critical.
don't know if your question on my email got answered. We did budget for
For that
the
age.
system that we had to add.
Yeah.
And
For next year.
yes, but she's still working on convincing the district that they might want to pay for it.
And there's the potential for a second that might be coming, which is concerning.
Second,
A second situation similar to the one that we had.
which is not budgeted for in next, but,
Right.
Exactly.
and you have no idea, no
I,
guarantee, you know.
not yet. Again, probably not till August.
So, just so I'm clear, this is the most recent version as of this afternoon on your email. This is the one that got approved last month. I'm noticing some numbers that are,
I would like you to discard the last one right now. Because that was even prior to meeting with Karen and Tanya. Eat it, yeah. Put your coffee cup. And so we looked at other things, and because of the uncertainty of the SUD support, we changed some of those.
so as we're talking budget and thinking budget, this is the one we're still rolling with. Okay.
Yeah,
And remember, if we get a lot more ADMW, the price that we pay for the, back to the district is the grant,
the seismic grant.
seismic grant would go up, because we pay 2%.
I'll take it. That's still a win.
I mean, it's $25,000.
I just keep forgetting that I'm not allowed to spend that $25,000. And so every time I'm like, oh, great, I'm gonna zero this all out. And the Tanya's like, I told you, you can't, I'm gonna just like put it into the spreadsheet somewhere because it's
Yeah.
outside of that. And
It's hard.
it's hard to remember to keep a cushion when I want it to say zero.
Is that for a future project or?
Past.
Oh,
We've already done it,
Yeah, seismic retrofit.
okay.
but it was way over our head, and they went
There's
ahead.
$1 million or something, and they've been pretty generous with us. With payback on it.
Okay.
And the roofs are still there.
Mostly.
That's good.
Just about all of them.
Looks fair.
And that was the like earthquake retrofitting.
Makes
So
sense,
the
yeah.
walls don't fall on the children.
It might have been a scam. I mean, who knows? You won't know until like there's bigger problems,
Yeah.
right?
Hopefully we'll never know.
Oh, I just sits on styrofoam.
You know, we really don't know what they did. They didn't drill in these holes.
Yeah, it was all voodoo around the,
Under the foundation.
little
or-
wand waving and
I don't know.
magic and sort of
We just
speculation.
pay all this money.
So to Jessica's question, I think the answer is October.
So that's an ask.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
Do you
Depends on
know,
what your risk comfort is as a board.
with the way the numbers work out and payments happen and everything, are we able to go ahead and make the COLA retroactive?
That would be up to you.
Do
No.
what?
Do we have the ability, do payments and everything work out to where we can go and make the COLA retroactive? If October comes, we say, yes, we do have the headcount to where we can go and support COLA. Can we make it effective as of, because year goes
July.
8/1. Oh, July. Okay.
No.
So they get 12 payments.
Okay.
So that it's not like
Yeah.
money-free summer.
Yeah, but like our fiscal, like the
So their
fiscal we're
first-
going by is like 8/1 through 7/31.
I think it's actually not, I think it's 9/1. And then we add August. So that's why the summer payment is so hard because they're being paid for July and August of the previous year. That's what it is.
Okay.
So their first payment for next school year is actually September 30th is their first paycheck.
Yes, because that's
Okay.
always.
They don't get in August. They don't get the 1 week in August.
Okay,
At
so
the end of September.
so theoretically, that if we know in August, then it essentially would be back to 1 month for the retroactive. Okay. if we're gonna wait, if we have to wait until August to go ahead and confirm headcount, I feel like that would be reasonable to go ahead and make that COLA retroactive.
Agree.
And if there's any way we can ensure that everybody has enough behavior support as well to stay, because I think even if that was not an option here anyway, right? But I'd bet money that that's very important.
It is.
To everybody.
It is definitely.
Cost of living, everybody wants. Behavior, everybody needs, right? And then obviously the building, nobody needs it until it's like a flashing red that that's obviously a priority. So,
Same thing for the savings account. Like,
I tried to get y'all a couple years ago.
We'll talk about it.
I know putting money in savings would like rank last on that list, but like we kind of need a savings account too.
Well, and in the
Rainy day
new
funds.
model that we worked on, it's like it counts for almost everything, and then every additional dollar would be savingsable.
Don't jinx that.
No.
Don't that.
But
That's what people say before like bad stuff happens.
dun, dun, dun. No, or we manifest it, Patrick, and it works out just
There
fine.
you go.
I like that movie better.
well, the things that are in our control is getting a full school,
Mhm.
130
Yes.
kids and seats and fundraise.
Mhm.
Because fundraising is free money that nobody gets in China.
And you did the best.
Is that right?
You're gonna get a crown. It's gonna be made out of tin foil.
I got a note from Japan that they're coming.
You
Some
have-
number are coming.
Family?
I got some. You know anybody?
I don't
Are
know.
we,
Keep looking out
signing
there.
up yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm old, I don't know anybody that
started-
kids anymore.
I said, I don't know if they're boys or girls or ages, so I'm kind of trying to get interested families who'd be willing. So,
Okay.
8th through the 18th. And I don't know exactly the flight times either. So,
August. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got the buses.
and we got the buses secured. And I think the girl that we hosted last year is coming again. So she's gonna have to deal with a bunny in her room. But
It's magical.
Kids love bunnies.
Yeah.
yeah, she like bugs. Any bug, like ladybug, butterflies, scorpions, all the same. Anyway, yeah.
She's scared of them all?
Yeah, all of them. Like this fluffy
City dweller.
yellow tail butterfly. Ah! Anyway,
Flying.
Sarah, is it safe to say that the budget update was just addressed moments ago?
Okay, so teachers, that's what's going on. We want to give you a raise for trying to be responsible enough, but it's probably gonna
It's
happen.
looking real good.
Okay. Hopefully that goes over all right with the spirit that we're trying to do here.
Somebody asking, oh,
Jill
Jill
says
woohoo.
woohoo. Thanks, Jill. That's all.
Jessica,
So that's it. Okay. In the spirit of wanting to save money, it was Miss Karen who had a great idea as we were looking at the grayness outside, of why don't we have solar panels here? And I was like, yeah, Karen, why? That is strange. And then I looked at our bills, which are almost $2,000 for electricity, and I thought, yeah, that would be really great. I have a dear woman, Julie Williams, who many of you might know, who's one of my favorite people that I've just met, who used to be an educator. Now she does this thing called Seeds for Soul, which is residential, working on residential solar panels. So she tried to help me as much as she could, and then just pawned me off to somebody else at, I can get you his name, and Dan over at Oregon Clean Power Co-op. And I'm just starting to talk to him. I had to give him a couple of bills that Tanya gave. Unfortunately, he says working with CPI is harder because their size is restricted versus specific power, and their rates are not as good. But he's going to get back to me in a couple of days on different ways we might be able to work with them. I told him, like, we have no money to give them and we want it for free. When
Every conversation.
yeah,
Good sell.
exactly. And he was really nice. So we'll see. But then I was like very cheered on by Alex's email that you have already found the grant for too. So I don't, I don't know anything about this, but I love the idea. I also think it really ties in with our values as a school of place-based, project-based education and working with our environment. Renewable energy is really important, and I will do what I can to try to make something happen, hopefully for free. But I, as Patrick said in his email, it's pretty hard to make things happen for free. And thoughts from the peanut gallery. I don't know
This
anything.
grant.
Tell me what.
I Googled for a few minutes and trying to find grants, and this community renewable energy grant program through the Oregon Department of Energy is like a giant pot of money with a whole bunch of really cool projects. Unfortunately, they did these 3 tiers of funding, and there's still like $23 million in it. And so at some point it's going to open back up, was my understanding of reading this grant. So I put my Muddy Creek email on the list. So if I hear something back, I'll let them know. You have to couple your energy generation project with either like a battery system or a charging system. So we could put in a car charger too. We could just write that into it. I mean, I like to write. So if they'll give me something to write to, something to apply to, it's worth a shot. So if you see anything you want me to play around with and try to apply to, I'm super happy to do it. This also, they favor rural locations. I think we could sell that. So there's a few things that line up here. Again, it's closed right now, but I'll keep my eye on it and keep looking. So if we could find a grant like this, it would be the way to get it done, I think.
Do you remember what Jamie said?
I was gonna ask if anybody remembered. So Jamie said that they had started the conversation shallowly, and then you came up to one obstacle, and I can't remember what it
I
was.
can't either.
It was cloudy that day, or it was some sort of
Where'd the sun go?
but there is a little bit of trouble not owning the land, probably somewhere or some deal, but I don't know.
No.
That was,
Was it? Was it in
Anders,
there?
his last name Dean.
it may have been a
I thought it was a separate one.
text or something.
I remember. Oh, maybe it was a text.
Was it?
Well, I saw something like a screenshot. It was a little on the negative, but it wasn't. But he also said it was a while ago.
Oh, bless you.
But yeah, extra special thanks to Miss Karen because
Yeah.
this was her inspiration. So
Looked to it when I first started. Financially, the problem was the school buys electricity at the industrial rate. They pay half of what the residential user pays, so it's hard to justify the cost at the time. So that may not be the case
Oh.
anymore.
Okay.
They're sufficiently gouging everybody across all sectors, so.
Do you think we pay a lower rate?
That's what Jamie said, so golly.
I mean, what did you
I
say
don't know if
our
that's still
bill
the
is?
case.
like 1,931 or something with the last one. It's almost 2,000. I mean, there's a lot of mini splits, right?
Mhm.
So it makes sense that it's going to be kind of big some days.
Mhm.
4 times 4.
I know we're not supposed to talk when we're not in a meeting about anything board related, but when I talk to him again, can I just send you guys all an email anyway?
I think you can send the information out.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
cannot engage in discussion about it.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, you can send it out.
But if he says, yeah, here's $1 million, I will say yes. And yeah, give it to us now.
Call
but
emergency.
no,
Yeah,
not give it to him now. Yeah, it'd be nice.
That was a great idea.
It's one of those things where I think there it is potential that we might need to go and get permission from the CSD since we don't own the land. Kind of like I mentioned in my email that I think that depending on the way the deed is structured, it might not even allow us to go ahead and take that on because of the way. Oftentimes, if it's leased, they will go ahead and put a lien on the property. And since it's not our property and the way the deed is written, that might prevent a lease from being a possibility at all. That's for lawyers to play with though. So I mean, I think probably the easiest way would be if we were able to go and find a grant to
Get a
pay
grant.
for it outright.
Yep.
But that's a unicorn in a haystack right now.
Oh, yeah. Patrick, your question, we budgeted 11,500 and we've spent 13,268.
So we gotta up that budget amount for
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah, but it is.
Yeah.
not cheap.
Is
It
it,
is valid, and that's what I know. What I've seen, and I've seen on the residential side, I haven't seen many commercial outfits doing solar. But on the residential side, a lot of it ends up being where the payment you take on to buy the solar panels is is almost a net neutral on what you end up saving on your electric bills. So
Now,
that's where the
we
challenge
thought it
comes
was
in.
really stupid when they built the 3 new schools that they didn't do solar.
I'd be curious what their reasoning, because I'm sure it got brought up.
I think, and I may be wrong, that CHS, after a year or two, they went ahead and, because of Julie, she was still there. They may have added some, but I don't remember ever seeing it.
And I also know they've got a small solar set up at Sheldon.
Oh, they
So,
do.
yeah, it's in the north side behind the track.
And somewhere else too.
So,
Is it, and they have some in Adams.
and though, like, I know the
At the bottom,
Sheldon ones were there before they built the new schools. So I mean, would it be possible to go ahead and check with Melissa to see like, hey, why didn't you put them on the new schools when you put
We
them
have
on
the roof and we haven't seen it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Mountain View's pretty short.
I'm
so-
not sure if roof is an option here at all, because we have to figure out where to put them.
I say we
Is
keep
it the power?
keep investing. Yeah, that's right. Can't mix power and water. But no, I think we keep investigating, and so we find a yes or a no, right?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, this time.
Thanks for doing that, Jessica.
Okay, we got policy updates.
So
My
there's
favorite thing.
Finally,
Well, Alex read them all, and so did I. And I'll speak for him, but I feel like these are pretty legit changes. They're all just like for efficiency of language and for compliance with statute. There's nothing that is materially changing in the policies we just adopted, but between when we brought them to you guys for review and when we received the files, these changes would have been made, but they just weren't. And so if you have had a chance to look at them, or if you want to delegate to Alex, tell his opinion about it, and we can vote to adopt, and then I can update the policies on the website.
I did not, in my reading of these, identify anything controversial or anything that I had issue with. And like you stated, it's mostly just clarification of language. And some of them, I'm not sure I had the background to understand exactly where all of the reference laws were going. And I didn't look those up because I don't have like a LexisNexis subscription to all the ORS things. But I feel very comfortable voting to approve these.
Okay, are you making a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the stack of policy updates.
I second it. I don't want to see him again.
5.
well, that concludes a wild, years-long effort.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
for your service.
Rowan was in his first week of kindergarten when it was
When
first
we
brought up.
started.
Yeah, so
The I'm trying to get. I noticed that
that's how fun that was.
they came with the let me see.
You can have that back.
There's like a newsletter, and it looks monthly. And so I was gonna check in with Leslie and see if we could get this newsletter. You can see
Yeah,
that.
there's gonna be a whole host of new laws coming down.
Yeah, it's like every month they're just like, here's some updates.
Yeah.
So I'm not subscribed to that yet, but
Well, we used to have a huge notebook in the library, and every month we had policy updates that we had to file. All that.
you have to do that. The other service that OSBA offers, optionally for a large fee, is that they will like post our policies and make the updates kind of for us as they go. With your approval, they'll just like do all that stuff. And I think it's like $6,000 a year, but if you
How much?
$6,000 a year.
To get to 100.
But they also have the
We have
website too,
Alex.
and they like all.
Thank you, Alex. That's what you.
I would.
You just
I
saved us
think so.
$6,000.
A little light
I know.
reading, it's fine.
Exactly. But anyway, if there was ever a moment where you wanted to simplify the process, it exists. I said polite, no, thank you for the time being.
Where did that fall in the staff feedback on where money?
But you'll
Yes, yeah, right, right.
Notice I didn't put my salary on the survey either. I know the answer to those two questions.
So you'll automatically get the updates like on email.
We'd have to buy that service. But I
Even to
can,
that?
I can subscribe to this.
There's a
And-
manual, you get this, but there's a manual process to you go in and update.
But if we want to receive more of these, we have to pay for them, like the red lines.
So how will you know there's something that's changed?
I don't know, Karen. That's what I'm worried about. Like, I don't know how I will know, except for the newsletter.
The same way we've always.
And I don't know
Yeah.
how I won't know how to change them. Unless I also like try and cyber stalk every other school's website and like see what did Corvallis change it to, you know, or whatever. So that it's a worry. They're gonna go out of date pretty fast.
And how much did we pay for this?
5,000, I think, total.
That rings a bell, right?
Good heaven.
Racket.
So like, yeah, the side business guys.
Right?
That's a full business.
I know.
do
How
it,
many
man.
school boards are there in Oregon?
I got track changes in Word. I can
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and you can go grab the new one they've got and put our old one in and say, Chat GPT, find the differences.
You could.
I mean,
Well, and while we're thinking, you've been so kind to send us the ODE, OSPA
Are
stuff.
those helpful? I feel
It's
like
kind
you
of
want to know.
confusing.
The,
It's nice, but it's confusing.
okay.
Which are you referring to?
Like Tina Kotek is looking at this, don't sign anything. And then.
So
it's like,
Oh, yeah.
Tina Kotek, you know.
alarming, like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, what are we doing? Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it
crisis,
might,
never mind.
I thought you might be getting questions about it, and I don't know if any of you are subscribed to any of those things. So, if you don't want it, I'm happy to not forward them. But I just felt like you might want to be a little more informed, so you
So,
can
I'd rather know. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Just don't
appreciate
read
it.
it if you don't want to read it. Don't.
I noticed that Jamie thumbs up it. So I did notice that you also when you forwarded out to families.
That one I
Um,
did because I've been getting some questions.
I think those it would be nice if you can provide some context, just to make sure we're not going alarmist with families as well. Just a little Sarah's thoughts blurb, so that way no one's like, because I mean, yeah, we're all hearing a variety of alarmist things going on right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I can do that.
Can I ask you a question on the news front?
Sure.
So obviously everyone is doom and gloom with Department of Ed stuff right now.
Mhm.
And I mean, we between Title I funds and our 12 head count for the rural school, I've heard rumblings that the rural school and Title I funding might be at risk, probably not next year, but the following year. Have you guys heard anything about that?
I haven't.
Okay.
And luckily most of our funding comes from the state of Oregon and not from federal funding. But there are those few outliers, and a lot of people get federal funding for their like food programs too. So we don't have to worry about that. But Title I, we're not currently receiving any title money. I would love to be able to, but our numbers are not high enough to reach a threshold to receive it.
Lincoln and Garfield.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Well, I'm more concerned about the rural school grant.
Yeah.
Because that we get 12 head count for that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No news on that, but I'll keep an ear out. And then the other thing, I don't need us to do anything tonight, but to be thinking about, we were invited to ask Corvallis for more ADMW this year. Do you remember that for part of our,
Yeah, I
And
do
I was
remember that. I'm not holding
thinking
my
not
breath.
to, because, you know, they're in a budget crisis too, but, if they're going through the same process that we're going through with having a greatly increased ELG budget, and if they're doing any offset budgeting, they might be seeing a prettier picture too. So I think we ask, and if they tell us no, they tell us no, but if they tell us yeah, I mean, that's, I'd be thinking about how we're going to do that and who's going to do that. And
What does it mean you were invited to?
well, at our charter negotiations, we said, you're currently giving us 7.5% of all student dollars, and you're keeping the 12.5% for administrative stuff on your end, and that's great, except we don't have enough money to run school and maintain your facilities. So it's their building, and
Yes.
we are here for like $1 a year or something ridiculously low. And so we were saying, if could you either give us some money for facilities or increase our ADMW to 90%, which is becoming more of a standard expectation for charter schools.
Yeah.
And they said, not right now. And we think that the budgeting picture is going to be a little bit different in the spring. They said like June-ish, I think. Ask us again later. And I think we were a little bit surprised for the invitation. So I have it on my calendar.
Because it was when I started 10 years ago. 80%.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's been moving up.
Last year, the state categorically underfunded education, so schools were either slashing or they went in the red. Like that's what happened last year. So, but the idea was this year, when the next biennium meets, and basically they've already scheduled what those payments are going to be, and then costs went way up. So like so they cut it.
Right.
So this year they're like, okay, maybe next year we'll have a higher per student dollar amount. So check in with us. Maybe we'll be more like cash next year.
Okay.
And for them, it's $35,000. It is not very much money, but it is.
I
to
think
us.
that's so frustrating because they get so many pots of money. They get it from the state, from the ADMW. They get it off of property taxes and bond. They could put a bond where they built those new schools.
It's not operational money, but it's facilities.
Right.
And see, that's what kills us. If anything goes bad, where are we going to pull out another 10, 20,000 to fix it?
Right.
Where
Yeah,
they
bond
put it all
money,
in
we
this
can't tax, we can't.
200 million bond,
Right.
keeping in mind that Hoover was the newest elementary school, but they tore it down and replaced it.
That's how we do get this great facility and land for us all. So, you know,
It's true, and that's the biggest challenge for most of the charter schools in Oregon. It's just leases.
yeah, that's a huge thing. If we were out, we'd have to find an old church or something that nobody was using.
Right.
It'd be a big struggle. And it would be, you know.
But if there's not a school here, the district would have to take it back to farmland
Oh, wow.
to return it
But
to.
they could do that with bond money, right?
Why can't we put our
Help
Welcome back.
destroy a school?
Why can't we put our own,
I'm gonna say.
Can't pass that.
can we put our own bond?
When charter schools are not allowed to do a bond.
But you could put a quarter for everybody and look how much money we'd have.
Yeah.
Does it really say that?
Yeah.
I had a dream about it. It's like, okay, let's put a quarter.
So Karen, you were saying not only does I was thinking it went back to the people who gifted it to CST.
It is, but it has,
But they have to revert it back to farmland. as well.
CSD has to.
That's
And
their
it's so
agreement.
expensive.
Mhm.
That's why they like us here.
Okay.
See,
That
that's
makes sense.
one of those holes.
So they should be great with solar then.
That's what I'm thinking.
Investment
I don't
in
think.
facility,
that-
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't want to go enough to remediate.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's asbestos in the building.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say between lead paint and
Oh.
asbestos, like
Could you
they'd be not,
imagine? I mean, it'd be,
they'd be $100,000
oh,
to
well,
go
at
to
least.
remediate but like those.
Well, to tear it, tear it.
Yeah.
Oh no, not that's
Oh,
just
rid of it.
just to get rid of the lead, to be able to tear it down. it'd be $100,000 for them to go ahead and remediate.
Right.
And then on top of
Abatement's
that,
really
to tear
expensive.
down and they'd have to tear out the asphalt and everything else. And that beautiful new fence we just put in. that'd be bad.
They were pretty smart when they put that together,
Yeah.
because they could
Mhm.
just abandon it and
Yeah.
watch it fall down, and the owners
But
would
the
have
sheep
to
come in
deal
and
with it.
raise, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
And
we can't raise a bond, but we can fundraise.
And we
So
can
we
get
could
those
put
kids in here.
little jars around town for
Little
a
coin
quarter.
pushers.
Better glue them down if it's down. I'm not gonna tell you that much.
All right, guys, while, before we adjourn, I did, get a package delivered to my office this morning by a fifth grader, and these are all essays that were written by the fifth graders. Persuasive essays, if you will.
Ooh.
Um,
These are in the suggestion box? or-
these are their thoughts, demands, whatever you want to call it, ideas.
Awesome.
Do we each get one to read?
For
out loud?
how, I don't want to violate anybody's privacy streaming on YouTube, but I'll put them out here, and if anybody's curious, I've made my notes. Some are approved, some are pending approval, and we'll see what we can do. A
Did
lot of
any-
them have to do with the pool,
They all want to
They
go.
want to
want a
switch to
pool.
the
bromine?
pool and the swings. That's the overwhelming theme. Your son's isn't here.
Can I
Oh,
read
it's
one?
not just art,
You can read all
3
of them.
times a week.
They really
Can I
want
read
a
one out loud?
pool.
No.
Now, that one
Well, I
year,
wouldn't say the name.
I was in the building, different rooms, and the
Uh-huh.
kid said, "Who are you?"
You want to read Rowan's? You can get his parent permission.
You know,
Can
and
read
I
Rowan's.
told
I'm
him
very
who I
curious.
was, and he goes, "Well, you know what? I want a sand pile or a dirt pile out here." Next day, they had a dirt pile. So
Oh, dang.
but these are a little harder to.
Some of them
Rowan is
are
concise.
reasonably, one paragraph.
Have you ever wanted to cool off on a hot summer day but couldn't because you were at school?
Yeah.
Me too. Have you
Don't
also
go
heard
to school
rumors
in the
about a pool
summer.
that you
Teach
couldn't
them
go
that.
to? I want everyone to be able to enjoy the pool, but all the teachers are hogging it. Like, really? School is
Hogging.
stressful and pools are relaxing. I think we should be able to relax in a pool, even if it's a reward. Pools can also be a place to socialize and get to know other people better, and maybe even make some new friends. Swimming can also be great exercise while being gentle and easy on your joints.
He knows who he's talking to.
Where's That's it, we be talking about the
Swimming.
impact on the growth, growing frame, yeah.
Because
Swimming is
Dad
also
feels
quite easy to teach to other people, so you would be learning while swimming. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed reading this letter and that you will take this into consideration. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mic drop.
McLaughlin? I made him watch the McLaughlin group when we were a kid, when he was real little, and it's still on. Bye-bye.
As a punishment.
Bye.
What's that?
As a punishment. Had he been naughty?
McLaughlin? I actually had that written in my marriage contract that I can watch McLaughlin
Wow.
Friday nights, yeah.
Your wife.
Anyway.
Wow.
But now he's, once John left.
We go from like a one paragraph to a 4-pager
There's quite a bit of variety.
with, granted, there's different size fonts
And some of those have rough draft and
and some emojis.
Mhm.
Well, I can tell we're gonna get some pretty good suggestions here.
Good.
Hey,
Well,
somebody-
we have this, but we also have Jill and other teachers too. And I know that they did do the questionnaire.
Mhm.
Are we gonna see that, or is that just you seeing it?
You'll see parts of
or-
it. I mean, some of it is appropriate for public viewing because it's personal to individuals, but
Oh, this is already or something.
what I can share, I definitely will.
Did the suggestion box, is that getting suggestions?
I saw some suggestions go in. I haven't read them.
Okay,
I imagine that's the fifth graders' job, but
find out if they're actionable. All
Yep.
right, good. Okay, anything
So
else?
where do they get the idea of swimming or a pool?
There's a
well,
rumor a couple of years ago about a pool on top of the.
sometimes the adults disappear and they come back relaxed. So I don't know. It's like it's up on the roof. They're not allowed to go on the roof.
You can't see up there.
Clearly,
To disprove
that's where we
theory.
go to escape the toils of our job.
I got a phone call at work one day because my son was on the roof. Well, the custodian told him to go up there and get the balls.
Oh.
But Myrna didn't know that. Chewed me out.
Seems like a
didn't
lot
ask
of
me about
problems with the current rules of the swings. Is
That's a common theme.
that addressable?
What can't they do? Jump
They
out
all
of
want to go on the swings at the same time.
it? They want to go on a swing?
There's like 7 of them, and there's only like 6 swings, and so it's a problem.
We'll put a timer up.
Well, that
Somebody
is
proposed a
exactly the
schedule.
suggestion, I
Yeah.
think, yeah. Right
Somebody said
now,
if
they
we
have to
can't-
like do the alphabet song twice while they're like to get the person up, but then they're weaponizing it, so it's like you can only swing for like 30 seconds at a time, and then that's
I mean,
not
That's not enough to
satisfying.
go
It's
over the
not.
bar.
It's not enough. And so that's their
Our school had
concern.
a little fence like this. And the kindergartners were in that area and there was a swing. And we were told that if you swung hard enough and got over that fence, which was chain link, that you'd be in first grade.
Oh dear.
Oh,
So it's broken legs that
yeah,
year.
and work. We'd go down there during the summer because we thought we're not going to get in first grade.
Well, I'd love to let our teachers get going so they can get rested and be back at school tomorrow.
All right, let's call it. Thank you for coming, Mr. Day. Jill, thank you.
Hey, Catherine.
Jamie, thanks for gathering.
Yeah,
Catherine,
you're welcome.
thanks for
Good
being
night.
here in person.
Exciting.
All right, good night.
All right, 13 after.